Hello, all you drama enthusiasts. Welcome to the meeting. This is Angie's Drama Room, and I am your meeting host, Angie, where I do drama reviews on all things drama. And today is actually a Chinese relationship melodrama, and it's called Begin Again 2024. Now, there was another Chinese series called idol drama called Begin Again. That was a few years back. I actually saw that one too. But however, this one is just recently aired, and it was called Begin Again. And this one starred Elvis Hahn, and it was the same production company and writer who did Fake It Till You Make It. And even with this series, Begin Again, they did recycle a lot of the same characters, which also included Elvis Hahn, and his name was Elvis also in this series too, Begin Again. So what was it about? We had it's basically a Renaissance type of relationship, free going type of couple type drama, and it was based in Macau. I might be pronouncing it wrong, Macau, and so at first it was kind of a little bit it was kind of a little bit weird because they were going between Mandarin, Cantonese, and they were throwing English in it too. So I was like, okay, can you just pick a language so I can follow it? But as the series developed, we kind of got used to it. So we had our female lead, May. She opens up first, and so immediately she's in a hustle and bustle life. She was doing everything. She was working. She's on the phone. She's running, pacing, trying to clear up one business. She gets a phone call once that ended by her boss telling her she needs to go to Macau. You and your crew needs to go to Macau right now in order to seal a deal at the hotel there. And so she was the only one who had to go at the time because she was the only one who had a travel passport. So she had to be there at a certain time in Macau in order to meet the HR person or whoever's the head of the marketing there in order to do it. And so she had to book a train trip down there, hustle her way down there. She gets down there. She jumps. It was the Macau Grand Prix at the time, so it was a lot of tourists, a lot of traffic. She has to get out of the car. She has to now run. She sees a motorcycle scooter guy, and begs the guy, please, 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 drive me to this hotel because I guess you can maneuver better if you're in a motorcycle scooter. So he agreed to it. Why he agreed to it? He just agreed to it. Then she jumps out of the thing, takes off, gives him like 200, well, whatever that currency there was, about 200 yens, I think it was, runs off and misses the meeting. Then she's standing there begging, oh, please let me have this meeting. Please let me have a meeting. And so she calls her boss, and boss is yelling at her while boss is on maternity leave. She's yelling at her on the phone, telling her, well, you need to get this seal. You need to seal the deal. You should have been there, da 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 da. She's like, I didn't know, whatever. So she was able to negotiate this whole deal by herself and was able to seal the deal. And she got the contract. But in the meantime, with this contract, it has to start right away. Then comes our other male lead, who's paired with May, was Jun Lei, and so he was the one who was on the motorcycle bike with her, and so she was using an app because she's not familiar with Macau, of course. If you're not familiar with Macau, Macau is a territory of. Look, I'm not going to even go in there. I'm not even going to start. But however, it's not part of mainland China per se. So she's not used to Macau and Cantonese, but she knew a little bit of Cantonese, but she's not used to it, and they don't do WeChat or a lot. So she was trying to find a restaurant where she could eat. She was trying to find it, and then she got lost. So she was using her phone to find her way back, but her phone uh, didn't get a signal, and I guess she had to buy some minutes for whatever. So her phone falls into water. Here comes Julie. Junlei, and he reaches out and he's looking at her like, "Hey, you remember me?" And he was like, she was like, "No." And he said, "Did you make it to the hotel on time?" And she said, "Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah." So that's where that pairing of the relationship started. Now we're gonna now cut to, because first I thought it was going to be May and Elvis Hahn, but no, Elvis Hahn had his own thing going. So Elvis Hahn was a race car driver, um, and he was there for, of course, the Macau Grand Prix. And so he was falling into some bad luck when it came to race driving against the Japanese race car driver. And so he was falling into some bad luck. So he asked his one of the pit crew, can he ride his motorcycle? So this is actual motorcycle. So he's like, okay. So he allowed him to have his motorcycle. So he runs into another motorcycler. You can tell that she was a woman. And so he's revving it up. She's like, he's revving it up. She's like, and so they decided to go for a little race per se. So they had their little race down the street, down the road, and so she stops, and then he drives, looks at it. So she takes off her helmet. She's waving her hair. He drives by her. She's looking like, okay. And so then she gets on her bike and she leaves. Well, then Elvis decides to turn around, come back around, and she was already gone. Met up again at a bar. He knows who she was because she took her helmet off. And so she didn't know that that was the same person. I don't know what's going on with fire. We had the fire. We had some lighters going on, and Mr. Snowstorm in Love, and of course we had this series called Lighter and Princess, or Princess and Lighter, whatever. And then here we got another fire going on over here because she had book matches, and she's striking matches, and so he went over there and talked to her. So she gave Elvis the book matches, and it had on there the Chinese medicine, remedy medicine on it. So that's kind of where he started to try to find her. The female lead, her name on the show was Jo. That's her American name, or English name, I guess you want to say, not American, but her English name. And she was on What If. Now I liked her better on Begin Again. She was good on What If, but I guess because it was a different role and it was more of a Renaissance woman. It's like what is it? Sarah Jessica Parker type of thing, the Renaissance type woman. And so I really liked her on this one. The acting was really, really good. The writing was pretty good. Again, you're bouncing back and forth between Cantonese and Mandarin, and then of course they threw a lot of English in there. But I really enjoyed in this series. So with Elvis and Jo, Josephine, which she was Jo, but they got into a whirlwind relationship. I mean, you're talking about it was only 2-3 weeks, if that. So they got into this whirlwind relationship. Um, he backed away at one point because of Joe's ex, and then but he came back and found her, and then what kind of happened. I'm not going to explain that because if you wanted to watch it, you can watch it. Just basically, I really liked the vibe between Elvis and Jo. I guess I really liked Elvis because I liked Fake It Till You Make It, and he's not what you would have called the CEO idol type of male lead, but he was like the businessman and the distinguished gentleman. That's what I would call him, and he plays those roles really well, and I really enjoyed watching him on screen. And him and Joe's vibe was par none. That was the two couples. Okay. Then we had Casey, who I was telling you about, where she worked. She was the hotel manager, or she was in the hotel where Amy, not Amy, where May was trying to get the deal. So she was supposed to talk to Casey. Now that was weird. I'm not quite sure where they were going with this one, but again, they played it all the way through. It's only 17 or 18 episodes. And what happened was the HR director had a son, and I believe he had to be about maybe 10, 9, 10, or maybe even older than that. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember how old he was. And But instead of hiring a nanny, she had Casey, who works for the hotel now, has nothing to do with she was hired. I think she was probably like the butler type of person. I don't know. The service person. I can't remember what they call them. And so I guess he didn't. I guess the little boy didn't want a nanny. So the HR director told Casey, told Casey's boss to have her do it. And so she took the deal, hoping that this will be a next step in advancement for her to be able to go to the States. Um, and so she didn't know how long it's going to be. And so my thing, my this that was the only thing I don't like. It's like you have a child, but your life is so hectic that you can't take care of your own child unless you just didn't want to. I mean, your life should not be that hectic where you can take time off. Now, take time off. So I guess we had it where May's boss just went on maternity leave and she wanted to take longer time, and she's trying to handle handle work while she's on maternity leave, but and take care of a child. And I guess that's kind of the far left and the far right end of having a child. There's always a balance. So HR director couldn't take care of her child, so she had Casey to do it. So Casey didn't want to do it at first, but then he got used to it. And I think they just padded his schedule, had him do all this stuff, go to lessons, go to school lessons, go to piano lessons, had him in swimming, had him just basically padded his schedule to keep him occupied so he don't feel like he is being abandoned. But I'm quite sure his mother loved him, but to her, business work comes before household. Frank was just accepted it. He felt like this was how it was. He was very well mannered, very soft spoken. So I think he wanted who actually wanted Casey to do it, and so Casey did it, and to a point where I guess they found. Again, I'm sorry, spoilers. If you wanted to watch it, just continue to watch it. But that whole dynamic was a little bit interesting and a little bit interesting. Now I'm not quite sure what was the purpose. Was it showing the whole how a single woman or how a woman handles family and work? I don't know, but it was an interesting dynamic because, and in case you didn't have a love interest in this one, it was just Frank and her having to take care of Frank, and she had her own issues when it came to fertility. So that was put in there. So that was actually put in later on, very later on. So, but I'm not quite sure really what was going on to that one, but they did have it in there and it was actually kind of interesting. All in all, again, I really did enjoy it. They did recycle a lot of the same characters. I think there were maybe, let's see here, it was Elvis, then it was one of the clients, and then there was the other client, and then it was that one. So it was about maybe four. It may have been up to five of the same of people who were on Fake It to Make It because it was the same production company and the same writer. The relationships was really good. The vibe, the chemistry between all of them. They had a lot of monologuing, which was fine. I really did enjoy it. The scenery. Again, you kind of got used to them going back and forth between the dialects between Mandarin and Cantonese and English. So, and it had the emotional moments, and so it is actually a really good series, and I would give it an A because of that, and I really did enjoy it. So that's my final. That's my. And I've watched it again. It was I think it was either 17 or 18 episodes. It's all done. I was finished watching it. If you want to go back and watch that, you can. Let me know if you did watch it. Tell me what you thought about Begin Again 2024. Okay, this is the newer one, not the old one. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, I really appreciate all the subscriptions I have gotten. Please hit that subscription button. A lot of people have tuned in, but yet have to subscribe and hit that like button. That way, if you enjoy my reviews, other people can enjoy it too. Thank you for watching. Meeting adjourned.